The living room felt like a stage, and Olivia, the unwilling star of a scene she hadn't agreed to be in. Gold-rimmed glasses clinked. Expensive perfume lingered in the air, and polite laughter danced between two families desperate to sound cordial. Olivia stood frozen at the entrance, her heels planted like they'd grown roots. Her parents smiled too brightly. Across from them were Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, owners of several real estate empires and believers that wealth could polish anything, including a son like Desmond. And there he was, Desmond Johnson, arrogant, entitled, dangerous behind that smooth smile. He sat casually on the velvet sofa, one arm stretched behind the cushion, like he owned not just the seat but her, too. Her father beamed. "Olivia, come in. We were just talking about you." She forced herself to walk further in. "What's going on?" Mrs. Johnson's diamond-encrusted hand clapped lightly. "Sweetheart, we have the most wonderful news. You and Desmond are getting married." The words slapped the breath from her lungs. Olivia turned to her mother, praying it was a misunderstanding. But the look on her mother's face wasn't shock. It was resignation. She already knew. They'd already agreed. Married. Olivia's voice cracked. To who? To Desmond, of course, her father said like it was the weather. Desmond's smirk widened. "It's long overdue, don't you think?" "I've told you before, I'm not interested," she said, her heart pounding. Her father's smile tightened. "This is a good match, Olivia. Our families will be united in legacy and fortune." "So I'm a piece in a business transaction now?" Her voice trembled. "Is that all I am?" Her mother's tone softened, but her words didn't. Sometimes sacrifices are necessary for the family. Sacrifice. They wanted her to give up her life, her freedom, for a man whose name made her skin crawl. She met Desmond's eyes. He didn't look threatened by her resistance. He looked entertained, like a predator who knew the trap had already been set. The next morning was a blur. Olivia hadn't slept. Her eyes were red, and her head ached with the weight of helplessness. As she stepped out of her room, her mother was already waiting, dressed, composed, and holding a folder. "Take this to Desmond's house," she said simply. Olivia blinked. "Why me?" "Because you're going to be his wife," her mother replied with a tight smile. "You might as well start acting like it." She didn't argue. What was the point? Desmond's mansion loomed like a fortress, gated, guarded, and cold. He opened the door himself, wearing a fitted shirt that seemed more suited for a club than a meeting. "Liv," he said with a grin. "Didn't expect you so early." "I brought this," she said, handing him the folder, her voice void of warmth. He glanced through it and motioned toward the living room. "Come in, I'll only be a minute." Stepped in, standing awkwardly near the center table, arms folded. Desmond set the file aside and looked at his buzzing phone. "Excuse me," he said, flashing a smile. "Need to take this." Without waiting for her response, he stepped out onto the patio, sliding the glass door behind him. But the door didn't close all the way. A slim crack remained, and with it, every word that followed drifted in like poison. "Yeah, bro, she's here," Desmond said, laughing. Olivia's heart paused. She instinctively leaned closer, barely breathing. "I told you I always get what I want," he said. "She's just playing hard to get. But today, she'll be mine. You know me, I don't take no for an answer. I always get the girl, always." There was silence, then more laughter. Olivia felt the floor shift beneath her. Her mouth went dry and her fingers trembled. He was talking about her as if she were a game, a challenge to be conquered. Not a human being, not a woman with a choice. She hurried back to the couch, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She sank into the seat just as the glass door opened again. Desmond returned, all charm and smiles, oblivious that the air had changed. "Sorry about that," he said. "Just business." He brought 2 glasses. "Let's toast to the future." Olivia's face stayed calm, but inside every alarm was blaring. As he handed her the glass, she forced a cough and placed the drink down. "Water, please," she said softly. "I choked on something earlier. My throat's dry." He gave her a look, half amused, half annoyed, but walked toward the kitchen. She acted fast. Her hand darted to the wine glasses. She switched them, fast, clean, quiet. He returned moments later, handing her a bottled water. "To us," he said, lifting the glass he thought was hers. She raised hers, but didn't drink. Minutes later he blinked. His breathing grew heavier. He shifted in his seat. "What's going on?" he muttered, shaking his head slightly. He looked at her with confusion, then alarm. "Did you—" He stood suddenly, staggering, reaching for her. Olivia backed away. "Don't touch me!" He lunged, but his knees gave out as he fell into a deep sleep. She ran out the door to her car, shaking, breathless, disgusted. She drove without thinking, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her heart thundered against her ribs. She didn't know where she was going. She just needed to get away. Olivia couldn't hold it in anymore. As she sped away from Desmond's house, tears spilled down her cheeks, blurring the road in front of her. Her chest tightened with every breath as the weight of her parents' betrayal crushed her spirit. They didn't care. Not about her feelings, not about her happiness. They wanted wealth, prestige, a business deal sealed with her, her future handed over like a pawn on a chessboard. And Desmond, odd. Just thinking of his arrogant, filthy words made her sick. He had stepped outside to make a call, thinking she couldn't hear him. But she had. "I get any woman I want. Olivia's no different. She'll give in eventually tonight, Seth." She had nearly passed out. She wasn't just being forced into marriage. She was being delivered into the hands of a predator. With a choked sob, Olivia pulled her car off the road and parked under a dim street lamp. The city was alive with nightlife, but inside her car everything was still. She leaned her head on the steering wheel and broke down completely. She cried not just for tonight, but for every time she had smiled through her parents' coldness, for every time she had pretended she was fine. She cried for the version of herself that still believed she was loved. A soft knock on the window startled her. She looked up, her vision blurred with tears. A man stood outside her car, dressed in the reflective vest of a road worker. He looked concerned, his brows furrowed as he bent slightly to her window. Cautiously, she rolled it down. Their eyes met, warm, kind, steady. "Are you all right, Ma?" he asked gently. His voice was deep but soft, almost soothing. "You've been sitting here crying for a while. Do you need help?" She opened her mouth, but no words came. Her throat was tight, he noticed. "It's okay," he said, backing up a little to give her space. "You don't have to tell me anything. I just saw you and I couldn't walk past." She stared at him, this stranger in a city that rarely noticed people like him. And yet here he was, not judging, just present. "I'm fine," she finally whispered, though her voice cracked. "I just needed a moment." He nodded slowly. "That's allowed." She almost smiled at that. "I'm Adrian," he said, offering a small nod. "I'm a street cleaner, not glamorous, but honest." "I'm Olivia," she replied, wiping at her face, embarrassed. "I'm sorry you had to see me like this." He gave a small chuckle. "There's no shame in being human." That stopped her. No one had said that to her before. Not her parents, not her friends, not even herself. That evening, Olivia stepped into the house, her heart still heavy from everything that had happened. Her hands were cold on the doorknob, but her face was flushed from crying. Her mother was in the living room, seated upright like she'd been waiting. She barely got a foot in before her mother's voice sliced through the silence. "Where have you been?" Olivia stood there for a moment, frozen. Her eyes were tired, and her heart felt like it was barely keeping her upright. "Mummy," she said softly, "you need to hear what happened at Desmond's place." But her mother raised a hand sharply. "I don't want to hear excuses." "It's not an excuse." Olivia's voice cracked. He stepped out to make a call, and I overheard him talking to someone. He said he was going to have his way with me. He was bragging like I'm some kind of conquest." Her mother scoffed. "And you expect me to believe that?" Olivia blinked. "Why would I lie about something like that? You've always had a problem with Desmond, always looking for one reason or another to chase away any suitor who doesn't fit your fantasy." Her mother's voice was rising, tears gathering in her eyes, tears not of heartbreak but of anger. "Olivia, you're not a little girl anymore. You are 32. The words hit Olivia like a slap. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her mother stood now, hands trembling, not with fear for her daughter, but with frustration. "Do you know what people are saying about us? Your friend Vanessa is married to a man who put her parents in high places." "High places, Olivia. They attend private events with governors, CEOs, real people who matter." "Mummy, your father's business is crumbling. Do you think I'm blind? The debts are piling up. The clients are pulling out. And Desmond, he is the only chance we have to survive this shame." Olivia's knees weakened, but she stayed standing. She stared at her mother, trying to find even a flicker of warmth behind her sharp words. "There's more to life than just money," she whispered. Her mother laughed bitterly. "Only poor people say that?" 2 days later, she hadn't meant to drive there again, but somehow this place had become a quiet escape from the suffocating pressure of her parents' house, from the way her mother stared at her like a failed investment, from her father's silence, heavier than any insult. She parked across the street, and there he was, Adrian, broom in hand, reflective vest catching the fading sunlight. He moved with calm focus, sweeping up wrappers, bottles, and things people tossed without thinking, like the street. Like him didn't matter. But then she noticed something that made her stomach twist. 2 young women, early 20s, loud and careless, stood a few feet from Adrian, giggling too loudly. One sipped a drink, the other munched chips, both eyeing him like he was a joke. Then one casually dropped her can right in front of him. Adrian paused. No anger, just quiet calm. "Please," he said, nodding toward a nearby bin. "It's just over there." The girl rolled her eyes. "Is it your business?" Her friend laughed. Nain, trash man giving orders now?" He said nothing, just stood there. "I beg sweep your destiny, Jaw." The first girl mocked, twirling an imaginary broom. Her friend filmed her with a phone, laughing. "Let me post this. Street cleaner giving life advice." From her car, Olivia watched, her grip on the steering wheel tightening. But it wasn't their laughter that hurt most. It was Adrian's silence. The way he just bent down and picked up the can, like he'd done it 1,000 times before. That was enough. She stepped out of the car and crossed the road, heels tapping fast. "Hey!" she called. The girls turned, surprised. "Pick that up," Olivia said coolly. "Now." They blinked. "Who are you?" "Someone who still knows what respect looks like." They scoffed, hissed, and walked off, muttering. Adrian looked up, surprised. "I'm sorry," Olivia said softly. "No one should be treated like that." He gave a tired shrug. "It's not new, but it's not right," she said, her voice steady. "I just couldn't sit there." A pause, city noise in the distance. A breeze passed between them. "You came back," he said. "I didn't plan to," she replied. "I just ended up here." He smiled faintly. "Your car or your heart?" She let out a soft laugh. "Maybe both." He leaned on his broom. "And you think the trash guy can save you?" She shook her head. "I think he understands what it means to feel invisible." Something shifted. A quiet understanding settled between them. "Let me help," she said, reaching for the spare broom. His brow lifted. "You're serious?" "I need the distraction." So they swept together in the fading light. She was awkward. He guided her gently. They talked, her dream of running a small publishing house, his past life in tech, her hatred for fried eggs, his love for old music. By the time they were done, her blouse was wrinkled, her hands dusty, but her spirit lighter. He handed her a bottle of water. "Thank you." She looked at him and smiled. "No, thank you." "For seeing me?" Driving home that night, windows down, wind in her hair, Olivia realized something had changed. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel so alone. And that was how they became friends. 1 week later, Desmond sat with her parents, offering a 20 million naira promise to save their business if Olivia married him. They agreed, not with love, but with desperation in their eyes. They never called her their daughter, only the price they were willing to pay. Olivia stepped in, holding Adrian's hand. He was still in his work clothes, having just finished his shift. When Olivia insisted, they stopped by her house so she could prepare something for him. As they entered, Olivia was giggling at something he had just said, her face glowing with joy. They didn't see Desmond at first, but Desmond saw them, and the smile on his face died instantly. "What is going on here?" Desmond's voice was low but dangerous, like a rumble before a storm. Olivia looked up, surprised. "Desmond, what are you doing here?" Desmond's eyes burned as he looked at Adrian, then at her hand still resting in his. He marched forward. "You think this is funny? You're my wife." Adrian stepped back slightly, confused, unsure of what was happening. Olivia let go of Adrian's hand gently, stepped forward, and spoke with calm, steady words. "No, Desmond, I'm not your wife. I never will be." Her mother stood up, trembling with disbelief. "Olivia, what are you saying?" Her father's voice shook. "Do you know what you're doing? Do you know who this man is?" "Yes," she replied. "He's the man you want to sell me to." Everyone fell silent. Her voice broke, but she kept going. "You never truly saw me as family, just a way out. But I won't let you trade me like property." She turned to Adrian, who still looked shocked, unsure if he had heard right. She reached for his hand again. "I'm marrying Adrian," she said. "This is the man I choose. We will be getting married soon." Adrian's eyes widened. "Olivia." She smiled at him even through the tears in her eyes. Desmond let out a bitter laugh. "A road cleaner? You're leaving all this for a man who sweeps gutters?" Her father's voice cracked. "Who is this boy? Is this a joke?" Her mother shook her head, ashamed, like Olivia had dragged the family into mud. Olivia's father stepped forward, his face red with anger and shame. "If you walk out with that man," he said, pointing at Adrian like he was filth, "then forget this house. Forget this family. You are no daughter of mine." Her mother's eyes filled with tears, but they were not from pain, only disappointment. "You're throwing away everything we gave you. For him?" Olivia's lips trembled. "You never gave me love," she whispered. "Only rules, expectations," and with that, the line was drawn. Her father turned away. Her mother sat down in silence. In that moment, Olivia wasn't just disowned. She was erased. Olivia walked away from her parents' mansion with nothing but the clothes on her back and Adrian by her side. The decision to choose love over wealth wasn't easy, but she was determined to build a new life, even if it meant starting from scratch in the heart of Lagos. They moved into a one-room apartment in Agege. No air conditioner, no driver, no fridge, just a worn-out mattress on the floor and a bucket in the corner. But Olivia didn't complain, not once. Each morning, Adrian left early to sweep the roads. He came home drenched in sweat and smelling of dust. Olivia would welcome him with a smile, water ready, food warm, and words that made his burdens feel lighter. "You're doing great," she'd say. "One day we'll look back and laugh at this." She got a job as a receptionist at a small private hospital, even though she had a degree and once lived in luxury. The pay was barely enough, but she took it with gratitude. She would work the front desk, sort files and smile at patients, even when her legs ached. When her salary came in, she used most of it to support Adrian, helping with rent, groceries, and even small medical bills when he fell sick. One rainy afternoon at the hospital, she heard a familiar voice. "Olivia?" She looked up. It was Desmond. His expensive cologne couldn't hide the shock on his face. "You're here? Working here?" She stood tall behind the counter. "Yes, I help people here, and I help the man I love." Desmond scoffed. "So this is what love reduced you to?" "No," she replied, her voice calm. "This is what love built in me." He said nothing more and left. Olivia returned to filing records unshaken. A few months later, the hospital increased her salary. She was always early, always kind, always dependable. She used the extra money to buy Adrian new work boots. And when his broom broke, she replaced it without waiting for him to ask. Little by little, they saved. Got a gas cooker, bought second-hand curtains, laughed over noodles on the floor like it was fine dining. One night after they'd prayed and were about to sleep, Adrian whispered, "I don't deserve you." She smiled. "You deserve everything good in this world. We just have to fight for it together." Adrian walked in, his shirt clinging to his chest from sweat. His face tired, but there was something in his eyes. Hope. "I got the job," he said, breathless. She turned quickly, eyes wide. "You did?" He nodded with a smile. "At a big company. Nothing fancy yet, just office errands and filing documents. But it's a start. Olivia rushed to him, wrapping her arms around his neck. "I'm so proud of you." That night they ate together on their small couch, legs tucked under each other, hearts full despite the emptiness of their apartment. Meanwhile, Adrian worked long hours, sometimes coming home late and exhausted. But he never failed to smile when he saw Olivia. She supported him every step of the way, encouraging him, cooking for him, even rubbing his back on the nights he came home too sore to speak. Then one day, as they sat sipping tea on a quiet Sunday, Adrian spoke. "My boss, he wants to meet you." Olivia blinked. "Me? He's curious. I talk about you all the time. Says he wants to put a face to the name." "Okay, are we going together?" Adrian hesitated. "I'm not feeling too well. Maybe you could go alone? I'll give you the address." Olivia wasn't entirely comfortable, but she trusted him. He had never given her a reason not to. The next day, Olivia waited in a stylish lounge until a tall, well-groomed man came out to meet her. He wore a sharp suit and carried himself like someone who had too much money and knew it. "So you're Olivia," he said, giving her a slow smile. "Yes," she said politely. They sat. He offered her wine. She declined. "I'll get straight to the point," he said, leaning forward. "You're a beautiful woman. You shouldn't be struggling with someone like Adrian. You deserve better. I can give you more, everything you want." Olivia's heart dropped. "Excuse me? I'm serious. A house, a car, a better life. You're wasting yourself with him. Be with me." Her eyes filled with tears, not from temptation, but from pain. "I love Adrian," she said, standing up. "I would sleep on the floor with him before I ever lie on silk sheets with a man like you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Don't ever speak to me again." And she walked out with her head held high, even though her hands were shaking. Back home, Adrian was lying on the couch. When Olivia walked in, he sat up. "You're back early. How did it go?" She dropped her bag on the floor. "Your boss tried to get me to leave you. He offered me everything, cars, money, a life of comfort." Adrian's face changed. "What? I told him I'd rather be poor and loved than rich and empty,"
she said, tears filling her eyes.
"Adrian, I don't care how hard life is. As long as I have you, I have everything." Adrian stood and pulled her into the tightest hug. "You chose me," he whispered. "Always. I'm sorry you went through that," he said, kissing her forehead. "But there's something I need to show you." The next morning, Adrian blindfolded her. "Where are we going?" Olivia laughed. "You'll see," he said. They drove for a while, the car moving from busy roads to quiet, wealthy neighborhoods. When he finally stopped, he removed her blindfold. Before her stood a breathtaking mansion, tall gates, beautiful gardens, marble steps leading to the front door. She turned to him, stunned. "Adrian, this is our home." "I don't understand." He smiled softly. "I'm not who you think I am." She stared at him, confused. "I was born into wealth. That man you met, he's not my boss. He's my brother. I asked him to test you, to see if you loved me for me. I've been hurt before by women who only loved my money." Olivia's eyes widened, her chest rising and falling fast. "You mean, all this time, I wanted to be sure, and now I am." The front door opened, and a warm-faced woman and a kind-looking man stepped out, Adrian's parents. "Welcome, Olivia," his mother said. "We've heard so much about you." Adrian turned back to her, pulling out a set of car keys. "This is yours. You've given me your heart. I'm giving you mine and everything that comes with it." She didn't know whether to cry or speak. She just hugged him tightly and whispered, "I'd still choose you even if all you had was a broom." Months passed. Olivia found purpose in helping others, especially young women who had been used, rejected, or abandoned. Adrian took over his father's company with integrity and humility. Then one day the news broke. Her parents had gone bankrupt. Everything gone. Their pride, their wealth, their name, and Desmond arrested for drug trafficking. 10 years in prison. Olivia read the headlines quietly. For a moment she felt a dull ache in her chest, not of anger but of memory. Adrian came and sat beside her. "You okay?" She looked at him, her eyes calm. "Yes, some things need to fall apart so better things can come together." He held her hand. "And we came together." She smiled, tears brimming in her eyes. "I found everything I was looking for in a man who once swept the streets.